Amber Shaw is the business coach for divorced moms who want to turn their expertise and life experience into thriving online coaching businesses. She helps give them the financial freedom and confidence to rewrite their futures. Amber is the founder of the Wellness Revolution, a leading global movement that inspired thousands of women to rediscover their confidence and take bold steps towards transformation. Amber's work is deeply personal, fueled by her own powerful transformation following her divorce at age 40 and feeling stuck in a lucrative but unfulfilling career. Amber took radical ownership of her future and launched her first coaching business that she grew into a six-figure venture within just 6 months. Amber, welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm like, I just need to. Sometimes we forget, I think, what we've accomplished in our life. And I'm like, as I'm listening to that, I'm like, you know what? I'm proud of me. Yeah, I'm proud of me. So thank you for that beautiful intro. I'm really excited to be here, Tracy. Thanks.
It is fun when someone introduces us, reminds us of what we've accomplished,
Yeah.
how far we've come, and kind of pumps us up. And today we are talking about real ways to earn money. And this is especially true if you've got the challenge of being a busy single mom. Now, we're not talking about doing some mystery shopping or a scammy MLM or completing surveys online. I want to do some real talk about ways that you can earn yourself maybe a little extra spending money, but all the way up to developing a whole new career just like you did.
And I am so excited to talk about this. I can tell you that this is so much of my mission in life is to help women so that they always have their own dang money. I don't ever want another woman out there to be in a position where they feel like they are stuck in a situation that they don't want to be in because they don't have the financial means to get their way out. I think we are all resourceful. We just sometimes need a little inspiration. And so I'm hoping today that this conversation may give the inspiration to somebody listening that they need to just take that step to their own financial independence.
Well, and I know you've got some great ideas for some of the things that kind of have to happen as we're thinking about how do we find what we want to do next in life, whether it's because we're getting divorced, because we are needing a career change, or we have some other life shift that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're exactly right. No matter what your situation is, whether you've gone through a divorce, or maybe you're burnt out in your corporate job, or maybe you're kind of at that milestone, maybe you're hitting 40 or 50 and you're looking at your life and like, God, I can't keep doing this the rest of my life, right? But sometimes I find this especially true with my really busy moms is when you ask the question, hey, well, what are you good at? Like, what do you enjoy? Oftentimes women can respond back like, well, damn, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know. I've been in this role as a mom, or maybe even a wife, or like a mom and a wife, or just I've been in this role, or I've been in this corporate job for so long. Like, I don't even know or remember what lights me up or what I'm good at. So I think before we dive into I've got three different ways I think that people can really start to make some additional money in their life. But before we even get into that, I think the very first step is it's really important to tap into and rediscover, or maybe even discover for the first time, like what you're good at, what you're even good at. And also not even just like what you're good at. It's also like what lights you up. I talk a lot about with my clients this idea of working in like a zone of greatness and versus a zone of genius. And I really think that, especially at this age, for a lot of women in midlife and women who have had careers and have gone to school, we've got a lot of things we're good at. But just because you're good at something doesn't mean it really lights you up. Doesn't mean it brings you fulfillment. Doesn't mean it brings you purpose. Doesn't mean it brings you joy. And so I really feel that when you can find that intersection of what lights you, what you're good at, but then also what really fuels your soul. Now we're talking about your zone of genius. And for me, I'm like, man, if I knew at 40, if I was going to leave my very lucrative sales job and dive into a whole new career, I better be doing something that lit me the heck up. I better be working in my zone of genius if I'm going to go through all that trouble to start something new. And so I think in order to kind of start to explore that, to tap into, It really can start with first of all, a very simple skills inventory. Like, I know a lot of people have heard about like things like, the Myers-Briggs personality test, and you can find different quizzes online. I actually have a free 5-day course called the Crush Life Boot Camp that is exactly that. It's all about rediscovering what lights you up, what you're good at, what your passion is, what your zone of genius. So I think that's the first place to start. Like just basic, write down what are all the tasks that you do in a typical day, right? Like both at work and at home, and just start to notice, right? Maybe these are even just start to write things down, like maybe organizing schedules. Like if you're a busy mom with kids, I guarantee you're pretty darn good at organizing schedules, okay? So organizing schedules, maybe like managing finances. Maybe you're the person in the relationship that manages finances, or you do it on your own, right? Even maybe you enjoy to cook. Maybe you're really good at helping your fifth grader with math. I can tell you I'm not good at that. So if there was somebody, that's where tutors come into play, right? But, or even some of your creative hobbies. So just start to write down what are all the things that you do in a day. And then also you can ask yourself, like, what do people come to me to help for help, right? Why, what do people come? What do I enjoy doing? What feels easy to me? So that's the first thing of how you tap into what you're good at. The second thing is really just starting to reflect on your life experiences. So many of the women that I coach coming out of divorce who are starting their own online coaching business, they don't have these specific certifications. They don't have all these fancy degrees and all these different things, but what they had is life experience. They've lived it. They've gotten to the other side of something. And that's what makes them an expert on being able to coach on that. So really consider the challenges that you've overcome. Could you help somebody navigate what you went through? And you don't have to be, this is a big myth for a lot of people. You don't, and a big roadblock for a lot of people is believing that you have to be to the other side of whatever it is that you went through. But the truth is that you just have to be just a few steps ahead of somebody else, right? You don't have to be completely to the other side. So looking at your life experience. And then the last thing I'll say to this is, ask for feedback. Like ask maybe something, sometimes other people can see our strengths that we don't. So, maybe asking your friends or your family, like, hey, what do you think I'd be good at? Like, let me know. So I think that those are just some great ways to just start to even get the wheels turning at what you'd be good at, what you enjoy, and go from there.
I think as women, we often have a tendency to minimize ourselves and what we're good at, right? We shrink back. We're always so busy uplifting others, uplifting our kids, pushing them, highlighting what they're doing well. And we don't often spend enough time just basking in our own greatness and thinking
Yes.
about what we're great at. And so I know that a lot of women who are listening to us right now are saying, Amber, I get it. You're saying figure out what you're good at, but I'm not really that good at anything. Like, I don't have something special. I don't have a fancy certification. No one's going to trust me to do the thing because I don't have enough experience in it. And I think that that's all nonsense, right?
It is 1,000% nonsense. That is a limiting belief that you have if you were listening to this and that is what you're feeling. And I say that with such confidence because I had that same limiting belief. I can tell you that when I started my coaching business 5 years ago I did it in the online space, I had never even taken a selfie of myself, like ever. I didn't use social media. I was so afraid of it. Like I'd never done a lot of public speaking. And now, I mean, I look at myself and I've, speaking on stages and I have a podcast and I'm doing social media. And it's not because I went into it with that confidence or went into it with that, belief I could do it. I just by taking small action and getting the reps in and getting the practice, then I built up my confidence. And with the coaching as well, like everybody, when you start something new, whether or not it's coaching or you just start a new career, whatever that looks like, of course you're going to have a little imposter syndrome. So if you're feeling that, it's normal, but don't let that block you because that is what will prevent you from stepping into what you're meant for.
Well, comparing ourselves to others is such a damaging thing to do because I could see someone potentially saying, "Oh, Amber, it's easy for you to talk. You did all the things." And Tracy, it's easy for you to talk. You have an accounting degree and you're a CPA and so you had a skill that you could sell. I don't have anything like that. Don't compare yourself to Amber. Don't compare yourself to me because you've got something special. You may not have just discovered it yet.
Absolutely. Listen, we have all gone through things, especially speaking to my divorced women. I got to tell you, the fact alone that you went through a divorce, girl, that in itself is something that you had to learn to navigate. So I really want to encourage you, the listeners to really just think about like what are the things, what are the hard things in my life that I've gotten through? And then also like what are the things that I like to do? What are the things that I'm good at? And just allow yourself to dream big without letting the fear creep in. Oftentimes, what prevents us from even taking any action is we maybe have these ideas and then our ego steps in and the fear and is all like, well, no one's going to listen to me. And that's the big block. So I just want to encourage you to just maybe set a timer for 20 minutes and just allow yourself to dream big. And anytime the, oh, but, just shut it down and keep going and see what you come up with.
Okay, so you have got three main ways that we're going to talk about real ways that women can earn money. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, I wanted to just map these out because I know, and I think that this is not just true for divorced women coming, who are possibly going from two incomes to one. Like that is definitely, I know for me as a divorced woman, that was a huge stressor for me was financial independence and the stress around money. But I also know a lot of moms feel that way as well, especially if you are a stay-at-home mom, maybe you want to have some extra cash on the side, or maybe you're a mom who's just maybe thinking about a career change. And so I kind of categorize these three things into like three different buckets. So the very first one is this is like a quick income generator. Like if you're somebody who's like, listen, I need to pay for those Christmas presents that I went overboard on. I need to, I've got a trip coming up. Like these are some quick income generator ideas that may not be sustainable long term, but or maybe it's just a way to earn a little bit of cash. So I'm talking about things like maybe doing a little bit of freelance, like depending on your skills. Again, this is going to be a little bit skill dependent, but maybe doing some freelancing on platforms like Fiverr or Upwork. So like writing or graphic design, or maybe even a little bit of like social media management, even some virtual assistant work can be and actually there's a lot of people that turn virtual assistant work into a full-time career. Okay, so something like that. Another one is more like kind of what I call like gig economy jobs, right? So like maybe being a driver for Uber or Lyft, or maybe doing like some food delivery through DoorDash or Uber Eats, maybe doing some pet sitting or walking in your neighborhood. You can also like check out Airbnb. Maybe you've got a guest house that's not being used, or like a room that you want to rent out. Again, these aren't for everybody, but if you are somebody who really needs some quick cash because you are in a situation where financially you need to get better yourself and better your position, these could be options to explore. So I think that is the very first one, is maybe some just quick income generating ideas. Yeah.
I love those ideas. And I would, encourage people to not discount ideas like going and working at a big box store. You're not going to make a ton of money, but you might get
Yeah.
some really flexible hours. You might get an employee discount that could be really important. It
Yes.
is some quick cash and it doesn't have to be forever. Another idea when you were talking that I was thinking of was elderly companion.
Oh,
There are
yeah.
actually a lot of opportunities for elderly people who need someone who can be with them a couple of hours a day, make sure that the house is tidy, give them someone to talk to. I mean, there's so many creative ways that you can earn a little bit of extra money, and you might actually have fun doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad you brought those up. But yeah, and I also think like don't discount. I think sometimes too we can kind of like turn our nose up to things like, oh, okay, well, like Uber or like DoorDash or whatever. And that might not be the best fit for you. But again, these things don't have to be long term. What I know to be true in my career space is like it's a lot easier to figure out what you want to do when you're already doing something. Like a lot of people say, like it's a lot easier to find a job when you already have a job, right? So
Yes.
even if you had to take something, or if this wasn't what you wanted to do long term, just take it for the short term to take off, to get you out of that. If you are in somebody, or if you're in that kind of space where you are really stressed about money, sometimes what can prevent us from opening our eyes to like other opportunities is because we're so stuck in that freeze state of being so in that scarcity mode. And sometimes just taking a position like this that we know is going to be short term, it allows us to release some of the stress because we know some of the money's coming in. And then it allows us to open up our eyes to other opportunities. So just really want to, to mention that.
And one woman I worked with had a really great mindset. She said, I can do anything for a year. If I know that there's an end in sight, I can do anything for a year. So if it's that you need a little extra money for the next 6 months, 9 months, a year, you can probably do just about anything for that.
Yes. Yes.
All
Yes.
right. What's your second bucket for ways to earn money?
So this is all about turning your skills into income. This is really about like monetizing what you already do. So if you already have a certain skill set, if you already are doing certain things, a lot of women have skills that they can monetize and they don't even realize. So I'm talking about like turning, everyday tasks or hobbies into profitable services. So some examples for this would be like maybe some meal prep services. I've got a woman in my neighborhood. She's just a mom, but she loves to cook, and she is already cooking for her family. And so she's like, you know what? Why not just batch cook this casserole I'm making for my kids, and I'll just sell a few to the girls in my neighborhood. And she's got a whole like email chain set up. And listen, as a woman who hates to cook, yes, I hate to cook. I'm like, yeah, girl, give me that casserole. I don't want to have to deal with it, right? So, things like that, like get resourceful with it. So maybe some sort of, meal prep service could be something. Another one, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, is maybe some sort of like tutoring or some sort of like childcare. Like if you are somebody who's already home with your toddler during the day, maybe there's another mom that's got a toddler that's looking for a nanny, that it could just be like, hey, I'll like, let's do some childcare with the two. Everybody knows that usually kids work better together anyway. So maybe bring over the neighbor's kid and do a little bit of childcare. Again, this situation might not be best for everybody, but it is something to explore if you're already doing it, right? So I think that can be really helpful. Also, things like, obviously, maybe if you're somebody who's involved in crafts or you've got different like handmade things, like just do an Etsy store, right? Like create something on Etsy, maybe some like or home decor or jewelry or things like that. Those I go on Etsy and buy stuff all the time. People are monetizing their crafts all the time. Another one is like organization. This is a perfect example. I've got a girlfriend who's coming over on Friday to my house, and she's going to help me organize my office because she came over and she's like, girl, what's going on with your office? I was like, it's a mess right now. Like everything looks all neat right here, but you can't see what's happening over here. There's all kinds of stuff over here. And she's like, listen, I'm going to charge. I was like, well, what do you charge? She's like, I'll charge you $40 an hour and I'm going to come in, totally reorganize it, get you some new stuff in here. And I was like, because I've worked with the designers before, and I know designers are like, I don't know, 3-4 times that amount for an hourly rate. And so for me, I was like, yeah, that's worth it, right? So organizational services. Another one could be like pet care. If you already have a dog and you're walking your dog anyways, well, maybe grab a couple more dogs that somebody could pay you, and you could just get on a regular routine walking dogs. You can get some exercise and also be earning a little extra cash. So I think that these are, and you could even think bigger. Like if you are somebody who's really good at social media and you just love doing it, like look at being a social media manager. I pay my social media manager a fair amount of cash, right? Like I think it could be really helpful for somebody with that. VA, virtual assistant services, right? So it's just about thinking, what you're good at, and how could you actually get paid for that. So I think that is another. I'll just throw this one because as I'm talking, like a million ideas are coming to my head, but I'll just throw this last one in. I think also if you are somebody that's really good at like customer service, like I know for me, I'm getting ready to hire somebody that can just help me to navigate my inbox and help me to like up level my customer experience as a coach. And so if you are somebody who really enjoys customer service and like keeping things organized and making sure that like the experience is good, like that is actually a position for a lot of companies, and especially in the online space.
I love it, and I just think that there are an unlimited number of ways that you could make money doing this, and so
Yes.
and you don't have to pick one. Maybe you're good at 3 different things and you make a little here and a little there. Who cares? Just do what you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so the third bucket of ways to earn money.
Yes, girl. This is my favorite one. This is
Yes,
the
me
one.
too.
This is the one I'm on fire for because this is my mission with what I do in my business with helping women. So the third one is to actually start a legit business. Now, when I say start a legit business, I'm not saying that if you are somebody who works full time, that you got to just like up and leave your full time job and like start this new business. In fact, I don't recommend that. I do recommend kind of building out your business on the side while you still have income coming in. It makes it a heck of a lot less stressful. But I do think that this really is the solution for more long-term financial freedom. Now, whether or not you grow your goal is to grow this business to become your new full-time thing, or if you just want to have almost like a complete business, but really as like a side, I don't want to say, I guess it would be a side hustle, but it's definitely more of like a legit side hustle as opposed to some of the other things we mentioned earlier. But you could have this that complemented your job as well. But this is what I'm really, really on fire for, and I think that more, uh, women are more capable of this than they realize. It's just a lot of times, and I hear this from women all the time, people are like, "I just don't even know where to start." Like, "I don't even know, like, how do I even form an LLC? What do I even, how do all these like, do I need a website? How do I do this? How do I do all these different things?" And what I just wanna say is that I didn't know what I was doing when I started my own business either. I had no idea. I'd worked in corporate America. I was not an entrepreneur. I didn't have a clue. But you can learn these things. All of these things to start a business, they are all learned skills. So, some different examples of like business ideas. I think that if you wanted to start your own company where you are like actively marketing this to other people and have multiple clients as opposed to just maybe doing it on Fiverr or Upwork or something like that. We've mentioned some of these, but it's just taking it kind of to the next level. So maybe like some virtual bookkeeping, right? Like there's this really high demand for virtual bookkeeping. I could actually use a bookkeeper right now. As virtual bookkeeping, it's relatively low overhead because you're doing it virtually. Even things like medical transcription. I know Tracy, you and I had talked about that, right? Because it's very flexible hours. You can work from home. Again, taking your like if you are really interested in like freelance writing and content creation, that also can be great. Maybe you're a great photographer. The second thing, so those are more like service-based business. The second one, and this is where one that lights me up is online coaching. Online coaching or consulting. So I specifically help women, to divorce women to start their online coaching business in whatever area that looks like, right? And so that could be like life coaching or helping other divorced women. It could be health and wellness coaching. Maybe it's parenting and co-parenting. You guys know, like get on Instagram. The sky is the limit for what kind of coaches. And when you're exploring the coaching route, I want you to really remember what Tracy and I mentioned a minute ago, which is if you think that you're not qualified, if you had imposter syndrome, these are limiting beliefs that you've got to work on letting go because it's really not true. You can also do like online courses and memberships. So really when we come to like legit businesses, I mean, there's so many options. And what I love about social media, and even though it can feel daunting, again, these are learned skills. There's people like me who teach you how to market yourself on social media to grow your business. But that is a learned skill. And so you don't need to let it get in your way, but it's such a great way in the online space to have flexibility, to have to be able to work from wherever, to be able to take care of your family and your kids, to be able to take that vacation because you're not tied to an office. There's so many pros to the online space, and a lot of the negatives that you may be telling yourself, again, these are things you can learn to do. So I think that there's definitely in starting your legit business. There's so many options out there. The real question though is just knowing where to start. And this is exactly why I've created a lot of different resources. I have a free resource that is 100 niches for divorced women. So this is 100 niche ideas. If you are wanting to get into online coaching, but you don't even know like what what you'd even coach on, like that's kind of the first place. So I have a free guide for that. And then also my signature coaching program is helping women. It's called Renew You, and it's helping women to take to start their coaching business from scratch, all the way from like, hey, I don't really know what I would do. I don't even know what I would coach on, all the way to getting your first client. So there's lots of resources out there to guide you if you are wanting to get into some online coaching.
Well, I think it kind of might seem daunting to think about, oh gosh, do I have to create an LLC? Do I have to collect sales tax? How do I set up a separate bank account? All the kind of legalities behind it. Um, but I think that if you hook up with the right person, like Amber, there's a process for all that,
Yes.
right? There's a checklist, there's
Yes.
a tool to help. So you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. And then I think the next step is, okay, but how am I going to market it? Do I have to put together a business plan? What do you have to say about that kind of stuff?
I think in the beginning where it starts is really just really, and I would say this is kind of the three steps that I really take people through is first and foremost, you got to get clear on your niche. You got to get clear on who you're helping, what's the problem you're solving for them, and how are you helping them. I don't think you need to worry about, especially this is true for the online coaching space. Like you don't need to worry necessarily about a business plan and all of that just yet. Before you jump to the business plan, let's figure out what your business is first, right? And then I think it can be as simple as really just starting to share your story on social media. I mean, this is the power and the beauty of social media. And then once you just start authentically sharing your story, you start building a little bit of a community, then people are going to start asking you, hey, basically, what do you have to offer? How can I work with you? And then starts the next step of like, okay, now I need to kind of start to build out a program. And then this is where kind of the more structure of the business starts to come in with the building of the program and a business plan and all of that. And this is where hiring a mentor is definitely the way to go. Just because I know I tried to figure all of this out on my own in the beginning, and I wasted thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And I also wasted ton of time. And I wish I'd hired my mentor sooner. But I think if you're not ready, if you're just exploring this and you're not ready to hire a mentor, that's okay. But just start to really think about who am I helping and what's the problem I'm solving? I actually even have a course. I've got so many resources for this. I've got a course called Nail Your Niche. It's like 37 bucks and it is a course that is all about how to identify who are you helping and what's the problem you're solving so that you can start the foundation of that business.
So if listeners want to check out the resources, the programs, the coaching that you have, where are they going to find you?
Yes. So I would love for you to review, got any value out of this. I would love for you to hit me up over on Instagram. I'm the one that manages all my DMs, and I love connecting with people who reach out to me. So I am at MS Amber Shaw. So I'm sure this will be in the show notes, but Ms. Amber Shaw. And then you can also head to my website, ambershaw.com. I'm constantly updating, though, with coming out with new resources. So, if there's something you don't see that you're looking for, just again, message me on Instagram, and I would love to connect either way.
Yes, we will put your website, your social media handles. We'll put that all in the show notes. Amber, this has been really inspiring. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh, Tracy, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this.